Good evening, folks. This is Deb and Dave, and this is the Factivist Report. We're going to start off tonight with a little bit of a intro on the April 5th events. But basically, the whole topic of this tonight's report is about Trump's lies. And I don't know any other way to put it. He's a pathological liar. And we're going to show you that right now tonight.
So Deb was in Boston. I was in Patchogue by Andrew Garbarino's office, which went off without a hitch, really. I mean, the Republicans always talk about the radical left and how violent we are. It wasn't pouring where we were, but Deb said it was pouring over there. It was raining, and it was raining pretty hard. We had protesters holding up umbrellas for the cops. Okay, the only angry person there, I believe it was someone who was working in Andrew Garbarino's office, telling the police to get rid of all these disrupted people.
It was a Saturday. What was she all uptight about? Go away.
And why was she there? I don't know,
Go
whatever.
home.
But the reason we were so disruptive and the reason we are so fed up and the reason those were mobilized in the first place, by the way, I heard huge numbers. I'm not going to talk numbers, but I will say you do aerial view overviews of Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay. I expected in New York, I expected in Chicago, I expected in Boston, but Salt Lake City, Utah?
Bozeman, Montana. I mean, it was everywhere. They were
Right.
everywhere. They weren't all huge numbers, but they were out in every city. And in some cities, I was really surprised at the numbers.
Right.
Over 100,000 people in DC. And let me just say a couple of things about yesterday, okay? The media, by and large, I did post in our, direct action group some recap of what went on yesterday, mostly videos, okay?
Yep.
Um, the media on purpose downplayed the numbers. In Boston, they were saying 10,000 people. Well, there are actually 100,000 people. There were probably 10,000 people on Boston Common who
Right.
marched
Right.
over to City Hall Plaza. But on City Hall Plaza, there were 100,000 people because they had people backed up all the way down Tremont Street that couldn't even get onto City Hall Plaza. Okay,
Right.
that's number one. Then there was one headline: massive counter protests in Boston. That's bullshit. Okay, they had a couple of hecklers on the side of the stage that interrupted Ayanna Presley, and her statement was that we respect people's differing opinions in this city. So yell all you want, but there were not massive counter protests in Boston. That's crap, okay? Because let me tell you about the Boston racists and bigots. They only come out when Donald Trump is in office. They're cowards otherwise, okay? They stay in their little hidey holes. This is
Right.
like this is like their time now. They're reveling in all of this bullshit. Now they get to call people names again and make up lies and stories again. So they're all over social media now. But these people, by and large, are massive cowards. They only come out when Donald Trump's in office. So I know I live here. I was
I
there
will.
yesterday from start to finish. There were not massive counter protests.
I will say this. I had to leave uh, as it was ending, but I strayed away from mentioning numbers, but I was impressed because there were people blocks away. There were lines. I mean, it was both sides of the street, and it was, you know, blocks. So can you really count how many people? Not really, because it was too spread out. And people like, how many? Was it 1,000? Was it 2,000? Probably, but I don't want to get into that while I'm calling Trump a liar because they don't have solid numbers. But take a look at the aerial view. This is for real.
Yeah.
And the reason it's for real is because we are reaching the saturation point of accepting Trump's lies.
And his bullshit. his chaos, his utter disregard for all of us, whether we're Republicans or Democrats. It doesn't really matter. We're all going to be adversely affected by this. He's not going to look for the little letter next to your name and your voting record to protect you from getting screwed over. Okay, he's not. That's a lie if you think that. Okay. The other thing is, what I do know is overall in this country, 5.2 million people were on the streets. That's been released by the people who manage this whole thing. And the goal in this country is to get 11.5 million people on the streets, I believe. That's the goal. The magic number. 3.5% of the population.
I was asked to speak. I spoke on unions, hands off the American Federation of Government Employees. I mentioned that because Trump was trying to strip that union of collective bargaining rights. But a big one, the biggest issue was hands off our earned benefits because especially the elderly, there's a huge amount of people that depend on what they earn over their lifetime of work.
Right.
All right. I heard as many as 80%. Yeah. So I don't know. Again, I don't want to get crazy in the numbers, but it's very important.
I
Trump
need my Social
recognizes.
Security to live on. I live on my Social Security and I work because I don't have a choice. My Social Security doesn't cover my rent fully. Okay. And even if it's close, and it was closer before my rent increase this year, even if it's close, I have other bills. I need my Social Security money. I've worked for 56 years. That's my money. Okay.
Right.
So understand this. The people who are trying to screw you over don't give a damn. They're billionaires. And all he wants to do is take your money. I know what he's going to tell you. He's finding fraud and waste. He's not, none of this is about that. That's a big fucking lie. Okay. That's a big lie. Big. That's a ginormous lie. This is all about finding $4.5 trillion to give tax cuts to the wealthiest people in America and the corporations because his 2017 tax cuts will expire in 2025. Right. Simple. Okay. We understand what's going on.
Now, this is where I got the idea for the show. Actually, it was an article saying that Trump said that he won't touch Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid while cutting the taxes, Social Security tax. That's what pays for Social Security in the first place, by the way. He's not going to touch it. He's going to starve the programs. He's going to fire people in those areas, those specialists that in the Social Security Administration, in Veterans Affairs. By the way, a huge amount of money goes towards veterans with these earned benefit programs, who will no doubt suffer. My point is, Trump is a liar. And I'm going to point out in the past administration and in this administration, just over 6 weeks or 2 months, whatever it is, he lies. Actually, a little over 2 months now. He lies.
There's a lie right here. It must direct quote. The waste and fraud in entitlement spending, which is most of the federal spending, is entitlements. That's not true. That's a big lie right there. So that's like the big one to eliminate. That's the sort of $500 billion, maybe 600 to 700 billion a year. Well, which one is it, Elon? Okay, that's a lie. Okay, there isn't that massive amount of fraud in Medicare and Medicaid. Okay.
By the way, they're not entitlements. They're not entitlements.
No, they're not. Earned benefits. You take the taxes out of my freaking paycheck that say Social Security. My employer also contributes Social Security taxes into my benefits. That's my fucking money. End of story.
And by the way, you're going to hear it. Trump is talking about lowering taxes. He's talking about lowering Social Security taxes to serve the program.
Look at if he stops taxing social, your paycheck with Social Security, what he's trying to do is wipe out the program. That's how you get your Social Security money, is by paying into it. Okay.
That's where this is coming from, by the way. Just so you know. He's playing games. He's playing semantics games. Now, 2021, 30,000. Okay, I misread it. 30,573. Now, I thought about just doing a show on this, and Deb and I having fun with it. There are different categories.
It's
This is
this is his first term, by the way.
his first term. Okay. Filter by topic: economy, immigration, jobs, foreign policy, miscellaneous, taxes, Russia, healthcare, etc., etc. Ukraine, coronavirus. I mean, my God.
He's just no shortage, you know. We're no shortage of topics for him to lie about.
Right here, we took care of vets, 91% approval rating. No, well, it was 82%, which was high, but it wasn't what he said.
Right.
Okay. This is just something that may be a little easier if you can get on that Washington Post database. That's a great database. This just, this is kind of an amended thing to that. So his address about Social Security. This is the bottom line. If this program is eliminated or greatly reduced, veterans and the elderly are going to suffer tremendously, especially. And the disabled as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And by the way, let me just say this, okay? He is already let go people in the Social Security Administration offices. And I have at least one guy I work with whose mother's check is already late. So,
right.
This is what he's going to do. People can't wait 20 days beyond their date to get their money. They have to pay their rent on the 1st. You don't call up your landlord and say, I can't pay my rent until the 20th because my check is going to be late. This is, this to me is the biggest problem I have with all of this, aside from, what he's doing with, immigrants and transgender people in the LGBTQ community in general.
And I want to say this. These kind of things, starving programs, getting rid of funding for certain government entities that people have taken for granted for years. The United States Postal Service boasts the largest EAP, Employee Assistance Program, in the United States. Initially, it was a rehab kind of thing, but it has expanded. I am getting complaints now that people cannot get through. These are people that are potentially suicidal or have traumatic events in their life. This service is there for a reason. And there are things like that everywhere that Trump is messing around with, and Doge and Musk is messing around with. And people are starting to feel it, which is why, again, the hands-off rally happened.
Yep.
We don't have a database of his second term yet. He just got in.
He's already
Here's
lied.
a look just from his congressional address. And this is from the Associated Press, which I still trust.
Yep.
Because it's a direct source. So let's just read a couple of these. He overstated the numbers on his immigration crackdown, which everybody knew he was going to do. He inflated the number of people who entered the U.S. illegally under President Joe Biden. We all knew that was going to happen. talked about tariffs and how everybody agreed with him, which they don't.
Well, he's calling tariffs a tax cut for the American people. It is not a tax cut for the American people. It is not. Okay?
Here's a new one. He's throwing this out as a propaganda thing.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that Social Security money is being paid to many people over the age 100. Now, I'm going to go back to this because I want to make a point. I'm going to go back to the Washington Post thing for a minute. Um, One of the things that they mention in here is that a lot of these lies overlap. He is repeating himself over and over and over again. It's a propaganda technique that Deb has talked about forever. It came from Goebbels. All right. It's truth by repetition.
It's
People will,
it's I was in advertising for 35 years. It's a basic tenet of advertising.
right.
That's how you convince people that they need your product. The same thing consistently in their face. If you're not going to run an ad 10 times, don't bother making the ad. If you're not
Right.
going to say the same thing over and over again, don't bother talking. It's the same principle.
And now that Trump has repeated it enough, he has his minions in his cabinet and the House and the GOP Senate and the GOP House repeating it. And he has his MAGA heads repeating it as well.
And the bottom line is this, someone else pointed this out. The morons, his little flying monkeys that are going into the Social Security system, right?
Right, right,
Do not understand COBOL, which is a computer language because it's an old computer
right.
language.
It's from the 80s.
Right. But that is where they put all of the people who die, okay,
Right.
into a program in COBOL. It doesn't mean they're getting paid. They're being put there so they won't get
Okay.
paid. Okay.
Okay.
That's what it is. And
Gotcha.
by the way, every single undertaker in America or whatever has to fill out paperwork that someone's dead. Okay.
Right.
It's understand this. Okay. This is you're being played by this guy. If you believe this,
So,
you're being played.
so let's go back to this for a minute. When he makes that claim, fine, show me the data. Show me the paper trail of this person getting check after check after check. I have known people to get paid erroneously. All right. It will get caught after like 2 or 3 months. It will be seen. So for him to say 106-year-old people are getting paid, no, it's not. It's another.
I have a bigger joke to make about that. First of all, I don't know anybody that's alive at 127 years old. That's number one. So,
Right.
and it's you have to be pretty hard pressed to figure out that they have relatives that would be getting the money instead. So where the fuck would those checks be going? Can someone explain that to me? It's none of this makes any, if you apply just a basic thought process, as opposed to just listening to the gobbledygook that comes out of this moron's mouth. If you just used your head and common sense would tell you that this is a pack of bullshit, a pile of bullshit.
Now this is from CNN. Trump's 13 biggest lies of his first month back in office. And do not tell me that CNN is a friend of the radical left. They have been bashing Biden and Harris for forever. So I don't want to hear that either. Let me just read a couple of these and they'll look familiar. Oh yeah, this is the one. 100 million in condoms for Hamas. This was about USAID. Okay, they were attacking USAID, blaming Ukraine for starting the war on Ukraine. And by the way, again, with the Ukrainian forces are neo-Nazis. There is a small percentage of neo-Nazi soldiers in the Ukrainian army. And by the way, if anyone's even researched any of this, I've never been in the military, by the way, but if anyone's even researched this, some soldiers are not nice people.
If you want to research the United States, you'll find out that there are many white supremacists and neo-Nazis in our military service. And there are many in the police department. Because you know how I know that? Let me tell you how I know that. Because last year, the Democrats filed a bill to root out neo-Nazis and white supremacists from both the military and the police force. And guess who blocked that bill? The GOP. Okay, so if you need me to put that in the sources, I have it.
Talking about January 6th again. Yeah. Remember the California drought where he just flooded an area and said, "Look at all this beautiful water." The election lie stuff, the Olympic boxer thing,
Yeah, that was
the
enough.
Iranian boxer,
Yep.
the president. Oh yeah. Now he's smearing Canada. Okay, this is one. Um, After the deadly January collision between a military helicopter and passenger jet, Trump blamed the Biden administration diversity initiatives for the at the FAA without providing any evidence at all, and that it had anything to do with the crash. He added a fictional story. So I'm just saying. Deception about tariffs. The tariffs are huge.
One other thing, he also there was also a lie about a transgender black pilot
Oh, I
who
didn't hear that one.
supposedly caused the helicopter crash, and
Oh, right,
she wasn't even in the air that day. She was not even
right,
on the plane. They already had released the names of all the people that died.
right.
Not flying. She appeared on a video to prove that she wasn't dead. Okay, it was not her.
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently
So,
Ed did too.
autism rates, China's operation of the Panama Canal that doesn't exist, and Trump's invented dominance with the youth vote.
Yeah.
Although, when you educate or indoctrinate youth, you get a bad result.
Right.
So here's a few that I have noticed. Okay, and putting I'm putting articles back to back. Trump says Musk will probably leave in a few months. Okay. Elon Musk can stay as long as he likes, but he will want to get back to business, says Trump. Then there's more about, he could leave, but he'll be a trusted advisor. This, to me, is Steve Bannon 2.0.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he may very well leave. He stated himself that this is becoming very costly because, quite frankly, they're burning his cars and spray painting the front of his Tesla buildings because people are pissed off. And and so it's costing him a lot of money, and he needs to get back to business. And his stock is tanking and whatever. But don't think for a minute that Elon Musk won't be pulling the strings from behind the scenes, just like Steve Bannon never really left.
And Steve Bannon is still around. Okay. He is kind of a media arm of this whole thing, too.
Right.
So, number 2. I have nothing to do with Project 2025, Trump says during the debate. Beyond my wildest dreams, the architect of Project 2025 is ready for his victory lap. Now, I didn't put in how many times Donald Trump's name was mentioned in the Heritage Foundation's document, Project 2025, but it is all over the place.
Right. I think it was 300 times, wasn't it?
Something like that.
And
Again, I don't want to.
This is Paul Deans, right? He's the director here.
Yes.
And I'd like to remind everyone that during his first term, he was operating on Project 2017, and
Right.
he actually fulfilled 68% of what the Heritage Foundation wanted from that document over the course of his 4 years.
Okay. Another one.
Know what it is. Don't believe it. Okay.
Right. Trump says states should decide their own abortion laws, declines to endorse a national abortion ban. Now, this is April 8th, 2024. Okay, so that's last year. Almost a year ago to the date, almost. Tuesday will be April 8th. And this is March. So that was a month before. Trump votes national abortion ban after claiming he's on the side of women. So he's flippy floppy.
He isn't, he'll get back to all this stuff as soon as he's done devastating the government.
Now he promised, hey, the economy will be huge or whatever. Trump promised a boon. Now people are nervous as hell
They
with
should.
all the crap that he's doing with the tariffs and the this and the that. By the way, I know uh, Deb pointed out to me a couple times too. All these little cabinet positions, they are important. Lee Zeldin is gutting the EPA right now and making his bones with MAGA. RFK Jr. He cut jobs not knowing that he needed them, and then now he's in Texas right now because a second or a third child just died of measles.
I think it's third. But the bottom
Third,
line
I
is now
think
all of
so.
a sudden he laid off 10,000 people. What was it, last Friday? Now all of a sudden the article I saw today is he's looking to hire some of them back. He made a mistake. You know what? He's the mistake. He is the
Right.
mistake. All right.
Now that article that I deleted it because it's kind of outside of this. Basically, Obama said, "Hey, would you have accepted any of this? If it was coming from me?" No, they wouldn't
No, they would not.
have. This is cult of personality
And they wouldn't have
nonsense.
accepted any of this if it came from Joe Biden either.
Right.
None of it.
Now, MAGA, the people, okay, the people are part of the information machine, and they are starting to realize, oh crap, Trump's gone too far. But the people are being conditioned to do what Trump did, and they're pretending that they were duped. There's an article from Altanet saying Trump voters are pretending like they were duped. Don't believe them.
They knew exactly what he was.
But they're following in their leader's footsteps. He's modeling the lying behavior.
And they still got their hats on. So don't believe
Right,
it.
right. So I wanted to end with a couple of things on the side. Speaker Mike Johnson told the GOP lawmakers to skip town halls. Why? Because enough people who are in on a secret, enough people go out there and talk, it's going to get out there that we know he's full of crap, and this is what we really think. Well, one person defied the order, Victoria Spartz, and she was talking about immigration and basically saying no, immigrants don't have immigration right or have due process rights rather.
She got herself flamed.
Yeah,
She
but
did.
that's
And she deserved to get flamed.
right. And we have this lovely, charming gentleman, Jim Banks, an individual from the Health and Human Services Agency was just fired, and he asked Jim Banks, "Hey, what are you going to do about it?" Jim Banks turned around and called him a clown and said he probably deserved to lose his job, and refuses to apologize for the comment.
And then closed the
This
elevator
is
door in his face. You know,
right. This is what these people are.
yeah, they are.
Okay.
They're showing you exactly what they are. They're low lives. I mean, these people are low lives. This is low life behavior. Signing an executive order with Kid Rock in the Oval Office dressed like a clown is look, I'm not the person who stands on tradition all that much, but god damn it, how much more dumb can you look?
Now, there was an analyst that said this. Do not count on this. Don't count on this. but it's looking like we could have a huge backlash against Trump. He's just talking about the House. It's possible we're going to flip 30 to 40
We
House
did in
seats.
2017, 41 seats, 41 seats. And I'm just going to say this. Don't count on this. Stay on the streets, stay active, because
Right.
he's not going to slow down. So we need to make this happen. This happens differently than being on the streets. This means the 90 million people who didn't show up to vote this time cannot
They
pull that
need to
shit
show up.
again now. Okay.
And I want to say this too.
Last chance
To
here.
right. To those people who were disenfranchised or upset that Kamala and Tim did not speak directly to them, but were trying to convert Republican voters, you're voting for them. Okay? They thought you were voting for them. You flip a Republican vote, that's two votes. You take a vote away from them, you give a vote to us.
That's right.
All right?
And it's
That's math.
it's amazing to me now because nobody wanted them to engage with the Republican voters, right? But now they're encouraging Democratic legislators to go out into Republican territory and run town halls. You know what, folks? Wake up. All right? Wake up. That's what they should be doing because the Republicans are too cowardly. This was a golden opportunity. She had 3.5 months to run a campaign, first of all. Let me just say that. Okay.
Right.
Versus
Right.
a guy who had over a year. In fact, Donald Trump ran for 4 fucking years. 4 years he misled the American people. Okay. She had 3.5 months to build a campaign. And there were enough disenfranchised Republicans because they'd had enough. And I'm not talking about MAGA. They weren't trying to convince MAGA people. They were
No.
looking at regular, old time, old school Republican voters.
Old school Reagan guys and fiscal conservative guys and all that kind of stuff.
And now
Okay.
now everybody's behind all the legislators going into Republican territory and trying to flip voters there. And not only flip voters there, but excite the Democrats in those Republican strongholds. It's
By
a
the way,
two-pronged approach.
by the way, a lot of those areas, as I said, Utah is hardcore Republican. Montana, again, same thing. My district on Long Island, they always blame gerrymandering, but we have lost that since like 2004. We've lost it for over 20 years. We had thousands of people out there in different areas. We had like we had over 1,000. I can say that with confidence. Over 1,000 people out in Patchogue by his office, all up and down the street. That's a huge message. And it's also asking uh, those ambassadors, whether it be Tim Walz, AOC, whoever it is, Murphy, Senator Murphy, whoever it is, come talk to us. We're willing to listen. I'm willing to listen.
One other thing. There's an article somewhere. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it might have been Jacobin. That
Okay.
fight the oligarchs is a winning message. And AOC and Bernie Sanders are going to stay on the road with that.
Right.
Okay. Now, they're not funded by PACs. So they're going to be asking you for $5 here and there. You guys want to take money out of politics, you're going to have to ante up and help these people. So if you get an email every time AOC, she writes, I get emails from her every week. I'm signed up for them. I'm signed up for Bernie Sanders emails. Every time they write, they ask me for money. It doesn't mean you have to give them money every time. You need to read this stuff, give when you can, but they're asking for money because they don't have super PACs paying their way. All right. And if you want them to stay on the road, guess what? That's costly for them to travel and to stay over and then travel to another city and get a venue. So, folks, understand the way this is going to progress here is
And
with
Deb,
people power.
I'm sorry, before we go, I have to repeat it again. people who, and let me finish, people who are saying that the Democrats and Republicans are the same, and then in the same breath saying that the lefties can't win, that we have to elect moderate Democrats. What the hell are you people talking about? Okay, the lefties are the ones who are going out there and putting the message out there, fight the oligarchs. There are some corporate Democrats in there, but the time to fight that is the primary. You primary them. Okay,
This
but
this is not the time to rebuild the Democratic Party. This is the
right,
time we have to get rid of the fascist Republicans. Once we get rid of the fascist Republicans, we can rebuild the Democratic Party. Okay?
right.
Believe
We're
me.
trying it analogy. You cannot like if you have, and I know Deb hates football, but this is where I'm going. If you have a football team and they're kind of a mess, you blow it up, you completely rebuild it, and blah blah blah. We can't really do that with that, but every couple of years you have a chance to choose another candidate and slowly but surely fix it. It's going to be a slow process. I know people don't like to hear that. Okay, and you have to build it from the ground up, which is what the Republicans have done over decades. We have to fight this first. And Trump being removed from office, however that may be. Al Green's already talking about Article 25, by the way. He's talking about articles of impeachment,
I
blah
know.
blah blah.
We
Let's
talked
go.
about it
Let's
yesterday
let's
at the
push it,
rally.
but don't expect it to happen right away. Okay, you guys, that want immediate results. This is part of what got us in trouble in the first place, by the way, because Trump, he caught that. It's like, I will get you immediate results tomorrow. When did that ever happen? He was going to end the war, the Ukrainian war,
On day
the
one.
first day on
We're
day
on
one. He was
74
going,
now. We're on day
he
74.
right. He was going to lower gas prices and egg prices. How did that work out for you? Okay, nothing happens that day, or it would have happened already.
You know, he was gonna lower. Remember, he got into the whole. I love the word grocery. It's an old-fashioned word. Remember that? He's gonna make grocery prices so much better right away. Now he's talking about, well, I guess I'm not going to be able to lower grocery prices because he's a fucking liar. Okay?
Liar.
He's a liar. All right. So let me just say this: the only party we want to blow up right now is the Republican Party. We want to
Right.
blow them right out the doors of the Congress. That's what we want to do. Okay, that's the
And
goal.
you want to replace your rep. And by the way, I have Tom Swazi in my general area. I have Laura Gillen in my general area. I have John Avlon, who by the way came to one of our rallies. Thank you, John, for showing up, but no, thank you with the message that all Democrats have to be moderate. No, they don't.
Yeah,
The
go away,
way, yeah,
John.
go away, John. Yeah, and Fetterman is another one.
Yeah, he gets
The
under my
way
skin.
we move this forward is we, again, build it from the ground up. Get those county committee seats filled up, school boards filled up, mayor seats filled up, then assembly seats, then, House and Senate and president, blah, blah, blah. Local is important. That North Carolina Supreme Court election, they're talking about uh, basically rigging the election. I don't know how else they're throwing out thousands of votes to give it to the
Wisconsin.
Republican.
You talking about
What?
Wisconsin? Well, Wisconsin was a
No,
big.
no, no. This is a North Carolina
Oh
one.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
another one.
right. But Wisconsin, by the way, Elon Musk,
Prasiowicz.
Wisconsin, Musk dropped $26 million trying to buy that seat,
Right.
and the Democrat won.
And by the way, or by a large margin, well over 100,000 votes. You know what he said?
What?
Oh, they rigged it.
Yeah, of course he did, because they've been saying that for the past 10 years, haven't they? Correct me if I'm wrong, but
When they win, it was a
that's the
righteous
big
win.
lie,
When they lose, it was rigged.
right?
Another lie. But Again, lie after lie after lie. When Trump says he's not putting his hands on your Social Security, he's not putting hands on your collective bargaining rights, he's not putting hands on your free speech rights, he's not putting hands on assembly rights. Do not believe him for a second.
He's a liar. They're all
Uh,
liars. He surrounded
as
himself with liars.
right, there's something out there where he's potentially going to call martial law.
April
Now,
20th.
April 20th. We'll see.
Listen, I'm going to just say this. I see a lot of this now on social media. This is part of what he's doing to keep us from organizing and getting on the streets. And he's desperate now because he sees the numbers out there. He can say it
Right.
doesn't mean anything. I'm going to tell you right now, if he's watching the news and the aerial footage of the shit, 5.2 million people is not a small number of people. Okay. When I was trying to get people to protest the overturn of Roe, that was a small number. Okay. 10, 15
Right.
people at the state house in Massachusetts, because Massachusetts is a pretty comfortable state. Okay.
Right.
But now with him back in office, it's a different story. Okay. So it's hands off our bodies now. Okay.
Right.
That's where we're going here. And
Right.
and you're talking about the next event being April 19th. That's a Saturday. Easter Sunday is April 20th. So we'll see what happens. But folks, do not allow him to manipulate you with this martial law shit. Okay. We need to
Now,
organize and be out there. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, if we get to it.
there was a local organizer in on Long Island that expressed concern about militia coming over and trying to disrupt and there being violence or whatever. Listen, there was still thousands of people out there and nothing happened.
Right.
Now, could something happen? Anything can happen, but that is the fear factor. He's trying to make you scared. There are some lunatics out there,
There were
and
some clashes in Buffalo,
yeah,
mostly because, you know, um, MAGA people couldn't keep their mouth shut. They had to stop their trucks and get out and start to disrupt stuff. I mean, but there was
right,
nothing that required major police presence, or there was nothing that was a major counter protest. When we
right,
were driving into Boston, we were right behind a woman who was doing her hair while she was driving and putting her ponytail on. And then we saw the MAGA hat go on. We knew she was headed for the protest to disrupt something. And we think we actually saw her as we were walking towards City Hall Plaza. But there
right.
were maybe 5, 10 people there. It never erupted into anything. So all the reports that we were reading about major counter protests were absolute bullshit. I can tell you the media made that stuff up.
We saw, and by the way, we were in an area. I drove by a couple of Trump one, get over it, signs or flags or whatever. But most of the people driving by us, they were honking and supporting us and all that
Right,
kind of thing.
right.
So look, people are tired. Okay. Yes, there are still MAGA. You're not going to get rid of that.
By the way,
Uh,
I do recall that in 2017 we did some counter protesting too. It is
right,
legal. You can do it. It is
right.
one of those things that's guaranteed by law. So
And by the way, yeah, I mean, and we did a short show on this too. Yes, conservative press is legal, free speech, but if we catch you in a lie, we're going to let you know, and
right,
we're going to repeat it over and over and over and over again. George Anthony Chiquita Banana DeVolder Santos,
right.
who, by the
Understood.
way, is an opinion writer. You have a lot of these guys because, again, repeating the message. You repeat the message, no matter how ludicrous it is, enough time, you repeat it enough times. And Deb scolds me for not, reposting enough because you repeat the message enough and people will start to listen, especially if it makes sense and you have facts behind it, which is why we call ourselves a Factivist Report.
Right.
We're trying to combat this,
And,
which Deb and I, we're going to talk. And if we don't know an exact number or we don't want to give you an exact number, it's because we don't have it. And that's okay.
and we'll look for it.
And we'll
We'll
look for it.
see if we can find it, but we're not going to give you speculation and make shit up, because that doesn't do anything for our reputation. either. I
Right.
mean, it's just not going to happen.
To say, oh, there were a million people in Boston. You can't fit that many people in that Boston area. I've been there.
But there were a hell of a lot more than 10,000 people. I can tell you that. There were
Right.
100,000 people there. But
When
they're
you
not going to
take,
tell you that. They're not,
right.
the
When,
media's not going to, let's face it, the mainstream media, we're lucky they covered it at all. And they certainly didn't cover it to the extent that they should have. You can find videos on YouTube, ABC Boston, aerial views, some interviews, but on the daily news, there wasn't all that much, and
and,
certainly not enough.
and by the way,
Not like they covered this
yeah,
stuff in 68 and 69
right.
and 70, nothing like.
It's getting there. It'll get there as this builds. It'll get there
Yep.
because when you get to the goal number of 11 million, yeah, then we got something. But the people that I saw cover it the most, it was the Associated Press. It was Rachel Maddow.
Yeah. Mattow's
So,
been covering this all, even she's been covering it since the very first thing in February. She's been showing videos in different cities.
and by the way, Deb and I will say this and continue to say this. It's not a one-shot thing. You
No,
don't
it's
just
not.
go to this one. You try to go into as many. And by the way, don't burn yourself out either. If you miss one, you miss one. But, and you got something to do, you got to go to work. Don't like get fired because you're going to protests. But it's not a one-shot thing. This will be a long process.
And
And
if
it's not just about the election.
you want to know what the 11 million number is relative to, is historically, that is the number of engagements by protesting citizens when regimes fall throughout history. So that's where that number comes from. Robert Reich talks about it all the time. And that's where we're going, 3.5% of the population. That's what we're headed towards.
By the way, we're more than halfway there after 2 months.
Right.
Just imagine another year of this crap.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's get going.
He's going to pull back.
Get off the sidelines. Okay.
Right. He's going to pull back. He's going to try to make things more comfortable. No. You've already played your hand. You've overplayed. We got to keep going.
Yep.
We got to keep going.
Yep. We'll talk to you guys later.